We're here with Judge Bill O'Neill. He announced today that he's running for the United States Congress against Steve LaTourette. Congratulations.
Today's the day. We're at the end of the line, and I'm really happy to be here.
The political climate in this country has changed so much over the last few years. It's so cynical. It's depressing. People can't quite get the information they need. What does it say about politics today that the only media outlet in the entire state, the entire country, that was here to cover an announcement for Congress was a progressive blog, OhioDaily?
Well, I think it says a lot, because that's always the uphill battle anybody has when you run against an incumbent member of Congress. Let me just give you the simple numbers. I'm running against a guy who has raised $10 million during his career. So, you know, naturally, he spends a lot of money with the media, and they follow him. So I'm just kind of an annoyance to them right now, but I'm going to be a loud annoyance this year.
Your themes have changed on this race from the last time you ran 2 years ago. There's a greater emphasis on, healthcare obviously is still there,
sure.
But the greater emphasis now on commuter rail, expanding RTA. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, I'll tell you what's different from 2008. 10% of the population is unemployed right now. The economy is in the tank, although it's coming back. But, you know, anybody running for Congress who doesn't understand we've got to look at what we did wrong in the past and see what we can do better in the future is just whistling in the wind. You know, I announced my candidacy at the end of the line because the reality is we have no mass transit in Northeast Ohio. If you go to Atlanta, go to Washington, go to Chicago, go anywhere, there is light rail to get people, workers, to the jobs. They just ignore that in Ohio. You look at the blue line behind me, it stops on Van Aken, it should go to Solon, it should go to Aurora, it should be able to get people to downtown. If we're going to talk regionalization of an area, and that's where job growth comes from, you got to be able to tie it together. And, you know, that track out there that I was just speaking in front of was laid in 1920, 90 years ago. They haven't laid an inch of track in this area since 1920, and yet you've got gridlock on 480 and 77 at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's an outrage. It's an outrage, and Steve sits on the, or did sit on the Transportation Subcommittee. Not 1 inch of track. That is, it borders on the criminal.
You know, it's easy to see why over the last 90 years, since we haven't laid another inch, why that has happened. You know, obviously the greatest push of our, probably our country's history has been the automotive industry.
Sure.
So clearly, you know, putting down pavement has always been the way to go. But in the cities you mentioned, Chicago, Washington, Atlanta, superior rail systems. They do have an investment, but the benefit is clearly there. How did Cleveland, Democrat, Republican, all of us, how did we get it so wrong for so long?
Don't know. I trace it back to the Eisenhower years. You know, what worked in 1950 is not going to work in 2010. You look at the red line that starts at Tower City and it stops in East Cleveland. And a 6th grade child would look at that map and say, why doesn't that go to Euclid? Why doesn't it go to Mentor? Why do we have hundreds of thousands of cars in gridlock in rush hour on Route 2 when the trail right-of-ways exist? You just got to put down the tracks, you know. And you know, you talk to LaTourette and he says, no, we're not going to do that. Well, he's a congressman. I want to be a congressman. I said, yes, we are. We are the voters. We are paying your salary. We are paying the hundreds of millions of dollars that you keep spending on concrete. And I'm saying, stop pouring concrete and start using your head.
You talk about it as a job creation issue.
No question. No question it's a jobs. You know, the nurse or the construction worker in Mentor should not have to spend $10 a day for gasoline and $10 a day for parking and 10 hours a week behind the wheel of their car. It's a jobs issue, and if somebody's going to bring new jobs into Northeast Ohio, the first thing they're going to look at is what sort of a climate is government creating where my business can grow. And if you don't even have something so simple as getting the workers to the jobs, they're going to look at you and say, are you stupid or are you lazy?
Let's shift gears, talk a little bit about your campaign. You're going to be running an entirely different operation than you did last time and than most people do now.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about how you envision your campaign, how you're going to beat Steve LaTourette.
We're going into the future and back to our roots at the same time. We're going to go into our future in the sense that I've already hired a firm from Chicago that's going to do video, and we're going to do viral video, and we're going to go into the electronic age, because I'm telling you that 5 years ago, 40-year-old people did not own laptops and they were not online, but they're online today, and we're going to reach them. But more importantly, the dynamics of voters in Ohio changed dramatically starting in 2006 when they started adjusting the laws so that you can vote now without going to the voting booth. You can do the online and you can do the mail-in voting now. There are projections that 40% of the vote will be in by election day. So no longer can you just buy an election by running $2 million worth of TV, which is all my opponent does. He just buys $2 million worth of TV. He has some cocktail parties in Washington. He raises $2 million, then he spends it on TV. I'm going to have a grassroots effort in 50 communities. You were just sitting here, Anthony, when you saw me, just sign up a kid from Perry, Ohio. You know, he follows his counterpart from Geneva, Ohio. There's 50 communities in this district. And by the way, the district is, it's 75 miles wide and it's 45 miles deep. It's a big geographic district. We got 50 communities there. We're going to have an organizer in each community, and they're going to have an absolute computer-driven list of 1,000 people by name and address that they're going to be required for the O'Neill for Judge Committee. Go out and meet them, just like we did back in the 70s. So we're going to go back to the 70s technology in field, but we're going to go into the 2010 technology electronic. For example, the film crew that you saw shooting today at the end of the line, we'll have that up online by Wednesday of next week. So, you know, it almost goes back to my military training of we're going to move, shoot, and communicate. We're going to do it, and we're going to do it fast.
Well, you've got a long campaign ahead of you. It's only early February now. You got a lot of doors to knock on, a lot of people to talk to. Good luck to you,
Anthony. Thanks for being here. You guys showed up. You showed up, man.
On a snowy day, but it turned out beautiful outside.
98% of life is showing up.
That's right. Congratulations.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you.